This podcast is proud to be part of the talkSPORT Fan Network. talkSPORT. Powered by fans.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the show. We're live here on YouTube, Twitter, and the Facebook, Always Wolves Facebook page. I can tell you we've already got 8 guests backstage in the green room. The phone lines are going crazy, as you can imagine, after Wolves' destruction against Leicester City. The Foxes well and truly mauled the Wolves at Molineux. But there's a bigger story behind all of this, of course, with the announcement. Last week we were talking about, Michael Beale. We all thought it was going to happen. It didn't happen. And then, obviously, they've handed the job to Steve Davis and co. until 2023. And then there's decisions, after the weekend on the decision-making process of the board. We heard the South Bank, particularly in full voice, shouting for Scott Sellars to get out of the club. So, obviously, as always on the channel, we've got to talk about all these issues. We want your honest opinions. What should be done? Where's it going wrong? And we're going to kick off, because there's so many on today. We're going to do it in groups of 2 and 3. So we're going to be bringing on to kick us off. We've got Chris.
Hello, Dave.
Vicky Wright, and we've got Raul Jimenez. How are you, right, Raul? Or is it Sin Cara?
No, it's me.
It's Jason. It's Jason in disguise. How you doing, mate?
Terrible, how are you?
Personally, I'm okay. I've calmed down a little bit from yesterday. I did think about going live last night, but I had so much to edit and stuff like that, and I thought I'd give people a day to digest everything. And there's so much to talk about. Vicky, so lovely to have you joining us. We enjoyed your the Billy Wright story show last week. The highlight of the week, and very emotional. So I hope you enjoyed that, and you'll talk about that as well.
Yeah, well, I'm happy to be here, but I'm as concerned as everybody else about what's happening with the club. So I don't want to just go, wasn't my night wonderful? There's still stuff that we have to talk about that's much more important.
We absolutely do, and we want to hear your thoughts, especially being the daughter of the great Billy Wright, and how he would see things right now. And Chris, welcome back onto the show.
Cheers, mate. I'm a little bereft of any encouragement at the moment. I'm hoping Jason's and Vicky are going to inspire me, because I'm not in a good place with.
I'll tell you what, I know that Jason's chomping at the bit, because normally I'll drop him a thing about extra time, but he messaged me saying, "Are we on tonight?" So I think he's got a lot to say. So Jason, what would you like to say? How would you like to get the show on the road? We've already got 193 watching live. Would you believe already?
So firstly, I'm so glad that Vicky Wright's on the show, because her father epitomised everything about this badge here. He'd run through a brick wall for the club, loyal. We're never going to see that loyalty ever again. There's a team of mercenaries out there, and believe me, the part of the problem is there is going to be no fight in this team. If you think they're going to stand up and be counted and try and play the way out of this, you got another thing coming. Mendes, it makes no odds to him. All we are is a cog in the carousel. He'll have these players lined up for moves already, right? So what have they really got to play for? The Sellars thing, listen, you've seen the picture going round on Twitter with his little tic-tacs board, dry wipe. Do you know what? Just so unprofessional. He knows all the eyes are on him, by the way. And he's got that little dry whiteboard there. And people, the journalists are coming out now and all saying that he's not culpable. He's not the problem. Well, actually, he's the most senior football figure at that football club. And the problem lies on the pitch and firmly on the pitch. He even said in the Ask Wolves interviews that when they asked him, he said that the manager's transfer decisions had to go by him as well, and they both had to agree. So how can that man not be culpable? It's just ridiculous.
Which journalists are saying that there's no finger pointing at Scott?
you've got Steve Madeley defending him. You've got now Jackie Oatley defending him. Then you've got Tim Spears defending him, and they're saying, "Oh, he's not the right target." Well, I believe he is. Listen, we're not going to hand Jeff Shea out the club. No one else is going to want to come over from China with all the problems they've got and run Wolverhampton Wanderers, who are low on their list of priorities. So Jeff's here to stay. So what we need is someone to educate Jeff. We need football people. You look at Aston Villa now, the managers they're being linked with and likely to get. Because let's be honest, Aston Villa are a bigger football club than us, whether we like it or not. Right? Maybe not in the 50s, maybe not in the 60s, 100%. But right now, they are. And they're a more attractive proposition than Wolves.
Katie Merricks is kind of agreeing with you there, saying at least Villa seem to have a plan.
Well, they do have a plan. They've been linked with some. Well, I think.
Oh my God! The producer's actually saying they've announced Unai Emery.
Well, there you go. So we've had 5 managers turn us down. One I get because his dad's ill, but this is the reality. So let's say he's set up for January because Davis has got the job till 2023, which is basically New Year's Day, right?
Yeah.
Now, this isn't Steve Davis' fault, by the way. He's been chucked well and truly under the bus, exactly as Terry Connor did. So the blame doesn't lie at Steve Davis's feet. The blame lies at, and it's not even the board. You can't blame John Goff and John Bowles because they're not even saying any of this neither. They're just making numbers upon the board, which is made up of 100% shareholding of Fosun, right? So, Villa, Unai Emery, right, doing all the work. Straight away, they've got someone in. They've got a plan. We didn't have a plan with Bruno. The issue is for me, if Lopetegui is the plan in January, if we're bottom of the league, adrift, he ain't going to want to take that job. No way. Who wants a relegation on the CV? That's the problem. They need to act now. They need to act quickly. And the man for me, and I didn't say this at the start because I didn't think he was what we needed, but it's Sean Dyche. Someone who can come in, grab us up by the scruff of the neck, shake it up a bit, tell them some home truths and get us playing football. He's not actually too bad a manager when you look deeply into it, what he's done with Burnley on a limited budget. We've spent, more in over the last 3 windows than he has over 10 years. And he has had some achievements. Yes, they got relegated, but I think we need someone like Sean Dyche. And right now, we haven't got a plan. Right now, we've got no hope. Right now, if the players keep playing the way they are, we are going down. Make no mistake about that. Where's Raul Jimenez? Why did I put the mask on tonight? Because Raul Jimenez is hiding in Mexico. I know he's had that unfortunate injury. He's not even putting anything on social media. Nothing. Yes, he is. He's getting interviewed at Club America. So that's obviously where he's going to end up next season and play Swan Song. He should be at the club now, getting his treatment and being around the club.
I agree. I agree.
He's nowhere to be seen.
I agree. You're passionate. Vicky wants to come in on that. Come on, Vicky.
No, listen, I can't talk, articulately about everything that you guys can. But I know that I can say this because I was supporting the team when we were flying high with every person in that team. Traore and all that. We had a team that it sort of delivered everything. They had a striker, they had this. He came up the side. I saw a team that I thought we can do this. It was doing. What happened? Why did they all one by one go? Why did they let those great players go? Why are we left with this? And I'm not knowledgeable enough to say, about this thing, but I know enough to go. When I saw this team working, we had Cody, we had this one, and I saw them working. I don't get why all those players have gone and we're sort of struggling now with something that doesn't work. How did that happen? You know what I mean? I don't know.
They haven't got the passion, Vicky, that your dad had. Like I said, he would run through a brick wall for that club. It was his whole life. To these, it ain't their life, whether we like it or not, because you look at that team on paper, Nunes, Guedes, just go through the team, Semedo, Kilman. That shouldn't be a team joint bottom of the league. That should be a team playing in the top half. There's no confidence, no belief, and whatever people say, oh, Sellars, oh yeah, he's not passing on any information to Davis. Yes, he is. So why is he at the ground then? Yes, he is. So he's looking after the academy. He's looking after the under-23s. He's looking after the under 18s, right? And now he's pretty much selecting the first team as well. And that is a fact. That's why he's got that board by him. And he's been called out.
Jace, did you see what was on the board? The thing with Sellars with the board that's weighing me up 118 is what was actually on it. It was a little scribble. It was a little squiggle in centre midfield where they spun the ball out to Adama, and it was one ring out to Adama. And what did they do for the first 20 minutes? Pass the ball to Adama until he was so knackered he couldn't run anymore.
That was it. There you go. I've just done it again.
Yeah.
Well, that was it. It was just nothing. It was just
this is our director of football.
Because he knew he'd be photographed. Do you think? Because like he left it right on the side, didn't he? Do you think like it was like there for all to see? Did he? Was that on
Dave, I don't think he's thinking. I don't think he's even thinking that, because I think he's way out of his depth, Dave. And I think that's the problem. Aston Villa have got football people around the club. That's why they're making these appointments quickly. That's why they got rid of Steven Gerrard when they knew it wasn't working. That's why Unai Emery was already lined up for the job. Yeah, you've got to look back. I think the last manager we poached out of a job was Dean Saunders. So Solbakken left on the 5th of January, 2013. Dean Saunders come in 2 days later, right? Because actually, although it was the wrong appointment, they'd actually done something about it. Whereas now, they haven't done anything about it. By January, it's going to be way too late. And these players, trust me, not Ruben Neves, they're going to be telling the new manager that Neves and Traore are off, right? So are they going to give him any money in January? Probably not.
Well, did you see the tweet I put out earlier?
Yes.
I mean, I actually put a tweet out based off a message that I'd been sent, and I've heard this from a couple of people, which is why I put it out. And I got sent a message which I decided to share, and it's been shared quite a lot. So someone close to Nuno, this is when Nuno was in the thing, Nuno wanted to come back and even offered to pay some of the compensation himself. Wolves wouldn't allow him to bring all of his backroom team with him and didn't want to pay the remaining compensation. They also suggested no money would be available in January, and he was told that some of his backroom staff would be selected by the club. What manager would come if he can't even pick his own staff? On the back of that, someone else has, again, from a contact inside the club, has said that Jeff was working on a move to bring Nuno back, but it was blocked by basically the top brass at Fosun.
Well, so it's cheap options, Dave, at the end of the day. So I've heard off a respected journalist, and I won't say who it is, that the buyout clause for Nuno is 10 million, right? That's what I've heard the buyout clause is. There's figures bandied around 4-6 million, but I've heard under good instruction that it's 10 million pound. Wolves aren't going to pay that, Dave. They're not going to pay that. They're not going to pay over the odds to get any manager. We
just do that with players instead.
Yeah, do that with players. So they'll spend 35 million on Fabio Silva, who's untested. Yes, he's doing it in the dog and duck league in Belgium now, but they won't spend 10 million, 8 million, whatever on a manager. And they're just getting in the cheap option. And Steve Davis has got it till Christmas. Steve Davis is probably in about 70.
But again, if I can just say, if I can just say my little bit that is relating to my dad and what my dad brought to the club, which wasn't money. There was nothing about money that my dad did it for. And I have to say, with Nuno as I call him, I felt there was a passion there. And I think that's what's lacking. The players that believe in the team, the manager believes in the team. I don't feel that they bring him in, Steve. All these people come in. I don't feel that anybody is leading with a passion because of they love the club. They put everything into the Wolverhampton Wanderers team. I did feel it was new. I felt he loved the club, and I felt he was a little bit wronged by the club, if I'm honest, when he left. But I think that he did bring some passion, and I'm hoping that there'll be somebody or players that will go. No matter what, I'll be there and I'll represent this club and I'll come in as a manager. It's not about the money. It shouldn't be about the money, because Wolves, for me, and what my dad represented to me, is that if you love this club should be represented by someone that has the heart to put everything into it.
Can I ask you a question, Vicky? Can I ask Vicky a question?
Yep.
Vicky, who is the best captain this club's had since your dad? Well, obviously, the one who you did the mug for.
You know what, I have to say, and I haven't followed them since Dad left. I haven't followed, so I don't know the history of all the captains. No, but I have to say,
Connor Cody. I know Connor Cody means a lot to you, doesn't he?
He does mean a lot to me. And you know what, I think that he was a great captain for us. I think he had every sort of asset that he needed to. I think he believed in the club. I think he led. I think he was a great role model. I think he was like Dad. He had good values. He was a family boy. He believed in Wolves. He was given an opportunity. And I saw a passion in him. And I spoke to him. And I know that he loved this club. And he gave it his all. And I don't know the exact reason that he left, but there was something that happened. But I don't think it was the money that lured him elsewhere. I think something happened within the club, because for me, he represented something. And I sent messages to him, and we I knew his mum really well, and I had messages, and I said that Connor, for me, Dad would have wanted to be the first person to shake his hand, to say, you can take the mantle. You can be, I think you deserve to be a leader of the Wolves team, because he represented not just man. I think he did it because he was proud to be the captain of Wolves. And I think he did. And he did 7 years, did he? 7 years, was it? And I think every minute of that, he believed in the club. Whatever happened to make him leave, I don't know. But so I would say that you need someone with passion for the club. You don't want someone that's just bought in. You know what I mean? It baffles me. But I just
want, still here. We would
frustrated, isn't it? It's really frustrating. And I think the comparisons, Jason, what you're making between Billy Wright, captain England, captain Wolves, Connor Cody had that privilege of wearing the same number shirt and captain Wolves as well. And what happened in the summer, with the ripping and over the last 18 months, bit by bit, the heart and soul of the club has been taken apart bit by bit. And we had that Wolfpack mentality. And I think that the fans have got to a point where they think there's been decision after decision after decision, inept, negligent decisions that have led us to this
I don't think it's 18 months, so Dave. I think it's been happening longer. And I think a lot of it is timely with Sellars. When Thirlwell went, it's all just seemed to get worse and worse. Nuno worked with Thirlwell. Then Nuno started having a strained relationship. Sellars has got to be involved in that. I don't care what he says, because he's in that position in the club. And it just seems to be going worse and worse. And, how he's sitting there in the press box with a Mickey Mouse drawing on there. I mean, what the hell does this guy think he's doing? I can't understand it. It's just the stupidest thing I've seen.
Look at the fighters we've got rid of, Cody.
Yeah.
These are fighters, leaders, Sais.
Yeah.
When people need to stand up to be counted, they would be, right? These players won't be. I'll tell you that now. That's a fact. And it's not me saying, oh, I'm really knowledgeable. It's a fact. You've seen it. Johnny was walking around like it was a Sunday morning. He was hungover. He was walking around looking at people, waving his arms. Second to the ball every time. What's he doing? And money is important. The guy's probably on 70, 80 grand a week, and he's sauntering around while Wolves are at the bottom of the league. It's a joke.
Who's culpable, Jason, for all of this, would you say, seriously? I mean, should Sellars be kicked out the club like what the fans are asking for, or is there, what's the answer?
The answer is that the football side of it. We need someone to come in with a huge footballing knowledge, a director of football. Listen, Sellars does great work with the academy, right? Let him crack on with it. Don't let him anywhere near the first team. Get a director of football. Pay the director of football well, as Newcastle do, as Aston Villa do. Get a footballing man in and get the right manager, and let's start from the top, get the culture right, set at the club, and let's get it down and get it back on the pitch. Because under Nuno, we did have an identity. Now we've lost it.
Yeah.
We've got to be realistic as well, that we will sell our best players. And I've always said that business for Jota was fantastic business, right? However, that was for me when it started going wrong. He was an outlet. Yes, he was out of a bit of form. So what? No player is on a trajectory that goes up throughout their career. They have dips in form. Stick with it. 45 million quid. Yes, great business. If we'd have invested it well, but we didn't. And they ain't going to spend any money in January. They're going to struggle to get a manager in. I don't want to say it because I'm not a half glass empty sort of person, and you know that, Dave. But I'm really, really fearful.
We're the happy clapper channel, really. We always try and be positive about everything, but you've got to reflect the views. I mean, we have a laugh and a joke and stuff, but this is serious stuff. We are sleepwalking into relegation, and it's like the blind leading the blind at the moment. Now, do you blame SHI or do you blame the advice that he's getting from Sellars, who's basically like, we don't want to bash the guy. He's got experience and stuff like that, but it's like
Dave. You can write Jeff Shi's footballing knowledge on the back of this top, on the back of this bottle top, right? Because he's got none. That's why he thinks Sellars is doing a great job, because he's listening to outside noises. Let's get it right. Let's get a proper director of football in. As I said, put Sellars back in charge of the academy. Fosun aren't going to replace SHI. There's no point calling for SHI's head.
Well, actually, I'm not so sure about that, because I've heard different. Not this season. But something that I've heard is that SHI will be moving over onto the esports side of things from next season.
That'd be great.
And I've heard also, again, this is hearsay at the moment, that the chairman over at Grasshoppers, who's more football orientated, will be coming over to Wolves, and SHI will be looking after the esports side, which is where
we're really Dave. Next season, when we're in the championship.
Well, yeah, exactly. But
go through the team now, Dave, very quickly. You look at all them players. Who's going to stop? Sarr, he'll be gone. Semedo, he'll be gone. Johnny will be retiring. Kilman, he'll be gone. Collins, he might stop. Matinho will be too old. Ruben Neves will be gone. Just look at the team. Traore will be gone. Guedes will be gone. Nunes will be gone.
Pedence
will be gone. Flipping heck. Pedence will be gone. Raul will be gone. He'll be at Club America with his mask on. Brilliant.
So everything we had that was so potentially brilliant, every player that was there that was potentially going to make this club great again, we needed a striker, really, didn't we, to sort of finish off the goals. But they let everybody go. All that combination of people, Connor, in my opinion, Connor as on the defender. Why did they let that collapse? Why have we got nothing left? I don't get it. I just don't get it.
It says it all to me that I thought on Saturday that the two players that I could see that were trying their best and giving it a go was a bloke that we had on the free transfer and an 18-year-old, 19-year-old kid we got out of the under 21s that. And he put the rest of them players. I sat there watching Nunes stroll about, and that Bueno was playing his heart out. And I thought, £42 million we pay for that. We may as well pick the kid out of reserves because he was doing
exactly
absolutely nothing. And Costa was going mad at him. He was saying, "What are you doing? You're supposed to be here, supposed to be there." And what happens then? People give up. You could see it like a disease across the team. People just giving up.
Yeah. The best pass Matinho did. The best pass he did was when he kicked the flare out of play, the advertising board.
Jason,
that was the best pass.
Jason, Chris, and would you say it's fair to say that we came out the tracks with a lot of energy? We didn't score. We were very attacking on the front foot. They scored a worldie, and it's kind of like their edge went as soon as that goal went in. The first goal, because to me, I don't want to accuse all the players of not trying. I think that some of them were. I think some of them definitely went missing. But like the first 10 minutes, it's like we were all over Leicester. We couldn't score again, which is per usual. They scored a worldie, and then the second goal, Johnny falls over, like you're saying, he just fell over, and it was like clinical finishing, and they just cut through us 4 times. They only had 5 shots.
It wasn't. Johnny fell over, Dave, but he fell over because Adama wasn't supporting. Adama wasn't supporting him because after the first 10 minutes, all of our tactics was pass it to Adama, and he was taking on Justin, and he was gone. Adama was having a good go, but that can't be our only tactic. We've got all these players that we've paid this money for. Now, either somebody's really being done over or they just can't be bothered.
I think fitness is a massive issue as well. And you only have to look at Johnny to see that. There's some of them players who aren't 100% fit. You can tell. And I don't mean carrying injuries. I mean, they are not fit for Premier League football. They're not.
And the other thing you got to look at as well is the medical team. Since the medical team got this, we never had any injuries with a small squad before. From your heart of heart, Vicky, let's hear you because you're sort of seeing it from your dad's perspective and that sort of team, but you've still got such a love for Wolves and you're seeing what's going on at the moment. You know, how does it make you feel? What would you like to see happen?
Well, all I can say on that one is that I represent Dad, and I would love to sit here thinking that I know what he would say, and I don't really, and I'd love to know what he would say about it. But I think I can only say that what I got from Dad was the passion of every single player in that team. There was a passion that no matter who the manager was, whatever they were told to do, whatever the opposition, there was just a passion for that team, that he was the goalie, he was the striker, he was the one, I'll pass it to. There was some connection between them that wasn't money. It wasn't money. It was about the love of the club. And I think Dad would wish, for there to be something that would unite the team. And it's all too much, I think, about, you know, who's the manager? Who's to blame for this? Why did they let that goal in? Why did they put... It's all a bit too like we're talking about, you know, in showbiz, in comedy. Why has variety died? Why there's no... It's kind of equal to that. It's like things change. Things do change, and I know that. But the formula that made Wolves great when Dad was playing, from my take of what I've seen from the history that I've studied and all the things that I've seen, is that everybody played a part. Bert Williams in goal, you know, Dad as the striker, Tom... Everybody had a role and everybody supported everybody else. At the moment, I'm thinking, you know, he's not really involved in it, or he might get replaced. He might go elsewhere. This one is come from here for a bit. We're going to bring Bruno in for a bit because but he doesn't. I think what's lacking from my dad's era is that the team was made up of people that were invested in making Wolves great. And I don't see it there. I think it's got really sort of lost in the who's the manager, who's the this, who's the trainer, who's the one always injured, always out. There isn't that nucleus of everybody thinking that we just need to put the right people in, the right people that have got that heart, that want to make the goal scoring, they want to make the team as great as they could be. I don't know if it's there. I don't know what the answer is.
We've lost the identity. The identity of the team's been dismantled, basically.
It has.
Do you know what I wish for, Vicky? Which would be amazing. I wish we could sit all the players down in that room at the Prince of Wales Theatre to watch and listen to what Wolves really means, and they could hear what you said and all the history of your dad, because it was so emotional and it was so got to you, and it really got to the core of what Wolves is all about, and your dad was all about, and how he led by example as a person. I think Connor did that to an extent, and the fact that you know, these, like what Jason said, these players have been bombed out, and the mistakes that have been made, it's the chickens are coming back to roost well and truly right now.
Ruben's not doing it, is he, Dave? To be honest, you watch Ruben Neves Saturday, as great as a player he is, as a captain, all he did was chase Michael Oliver around the pitch and moan.
I'll tell you something about Ruben Neves. I do believe that Ruben's got the heart of the club. I think he really is fighting. I think he's got the heart, but he's not got the same dressing room personality. And he's even said that himself. Yeah. He's about being on the pitch. But who have we got in the dressing room to galvanise the team right now? Where's that?
And Connor was that. Connor was that, wasn't he? Connor was that.
And not only have we lost a good player in Connor Cody, an England international, we're about to lose him for a pittance as well, £4.5 million as it's reported. Which is, whoever has done that deal. Oh, shock! It was Scott Sellars. Yeah, £4.5 million. And we let a player of that calibre go. A dressing room influence, as John Ruddy was. That armband.
And he loved the club. He loved the club. He said to me, "I'm honoured to follow in your dad's footsteps." And I really believe that he had his heart and soul in that club. And Connor's thing, whether or not he's the best person for what he did in this position, what he gave was what Dad did. It was in that dressing room. It was on that pitch, spurring everybody on, come on. He had the heart and he had that sort of passion about winning. And we've given that away to somebody else.
Yeah, and it's no surprise that Everton are winning games.
No.
Exactly.
Well, he's
Exactly.
made a big difference. They said he couldn't play in a back four. It's a massive mistake, and
so
you've got
can't
to,
play in a back four.
put the finger for
So
that.
how many people on Twitter, right? So we've got the best defensive record. It was a matter of time before Collins and Kilman got found out, right? We missed the back five. I don't care what anyone says. We missed the back five.
I have a feeling we might be going back to a back five when
we're going to need 10 at the back soon.
because the team understood how to play that back five. Johnny Otto and the likes, they're not full backs, they're wing backs. Yeah. They always had the protection of the three at the back, and Connor was the centre of that, you know, and want to go forward, and you still had the four, and we had the cap. Now, I mean, we did attack Leicester and we did have a go, but like they just sat, waited, and then just sprung the traps and just sliced through us. We were so naive, you know, and you know, I came out numb, angry, frustrated, feeling embarrassed, humiliated. You know, it was humiliating. I had my head in the hand. People left. had my head in my hand watching.
Bearing in mind, Dave, let's be realistic. Leicester have got a lot more firepower than us. Should they be in the bottom three now? We played against Nottingham Forest, who are the worst team I've probably seen in the Premier League for a good 15 years, right? And we just about beat them with a penalty. We've played against Leicester. Yeah. And then, okay, Dave, come on. So Forest aren't better than Liverpool, are they?
No.
You know, they're not.
I said it on the last. I said it on
Forest
the last.
Forest have had a good day, right? But we're going to beat Liverpool with this team. No, we're not. We can't even beat Leicester or Forest. Oh, yes, we beat Forest. What I'm saying is we ain't going to beat Liverpool, right? Leicester are a team in the bottom three. They've come to Molineux and done an absolute job on us. Thrashed us 4-0.
4-0?
4-0 on our own pitch. 4-0. It's a joke. And you know what? Yes, when the first goal went in, I get it. Heads dropped. Heads dropped for the rest of the game. I do like Diego Costa. I think he offers us another outlet. And his movement was good, and he seems passionate. Is he going to be the answer? I don't know. But
Hugo Bueno came out of it with credit for me as well. I thought young lad, again, he didn't let anyone down. And I thought Boubacar Traore, when he come on, he looked like he was up for it.
But Bueno, he's an attacking wing back. You know, he's not a defender in the back four. He's not a left back. He's an attacking wing back. You know, but anyway, that's why we need to revert to a back five, in my opinion. Get the back sorted. Get a defender leading from the back, as Conor Cody did, so he can see all the play in front of him. But,
I mean, I don't understand why Davis can't make a change the next. It didn't work Saturday, so let's go back five. He's got nothing to lose. All he can do is experiment and try and grind results out. Go back to a back five. You know, but yeah, I know. Anyway, I agree with Jason. We should be going for Sean Dyche. We are in. You know, we've got.
I'm not.
The only thing we can hold on to now, Dave, is the fact that we've got to cling on to the adversity because there's nothing else there. We've got to build the team around something.
To me, the only answer for me right now is they get Nuno back in. He wants to come.
I agree. Nuno or Sean Dyche, 100%.
But it's not going to happen, Dave, is it? If what you put out is right, if they've treated that man like that after what he did at this football club, I mean, it just tells me that I don't want him running the football club, to be honest.
Right now, you need an identity back at the club, and they've given it to, and they've hung Steve Davies and co out to dry. Really, they've given them the thing till 2023, and it just leaves us in limbo. And the thing that's really put the knife in the back is Villa have had a manager for 3 days. They've got a new manager. They've had a plan. They've gone out and paid the money. They've got him in. Bish, bash, bosh. That's how it should be done. Brighton lost Potter. Bish, bash, bosh. They got a new manager in. Okay,
we didn't even consider Emery. Unai Emery.
Who was the guy who managed Villa the other day when they won 4-0 yesterday? Who was that guy? We'll have him.
Yeah.
They won 4-0. Anyway,
I'd rather have Wolfie and Wendy at the minute.
Final thoughts before we move on. We'll go with you first, Chris. Your final thoughts. You want to give us any positives or a highlight from the weekend? Crack on.
The only positive I can say is that at least we are looking like we've got some good young kids that could come in. My worry is if they're mismanaging £42 million players the way they are, what are they going to do to these kids eventually? That's my worry. In terms of the team, it's just awful. I've never been. I don't think I've been ever so disenfranchised with the football team as I am at the moment. I went to Watford once and watched us get hammered 4-0, but at least we tried that game, and that one, But that, what I watched on Saturday, my lad goes with me. He didn't come to Notts Forest game because he caught COVID. And he sat around, he says, I haven't seen Wolves win for I can't remember how many months,
It's depressing.
live. And I just thought, yeah.
Vicky, let Vicky give us some sunshine. Talk about your event that we went to. Give us a little bit of sunshine on a dark day.
Well, that's hard for me to go straight into that because, that it upsets me to know that, because for part of my talk about Dad was, and part of what was so magical in the room was this love for Wolverhampton Wanderers. And I will say until the day I die that they are the best fans in the world. They are the best, most loyal. It's a family unit. And it breaks my heart to hear the people that love Wolves sort of putting their head in their hands into what's happening to them, and they keep getting these defeats and they keep saying, they keep giving it everything and then they're let down. Breaks my heart, but I haven't got the answer. Of course I haven't. But all I can say is after my night that I shared with everybody, there is still incredible passion in the city of Wolverhampton and all around, because that theatre for me on Thursday night was full of people that had memories of Billy, that just loved the club, that came along to go, is this the history? Let's listen about the bloke that has that statue outside our ground, even if they don't remember what he did. That is what's, for me, and what for Dad was great, this incredible following and the love that the people of Wolverhampton have for their football team and Molineux and my dad, and I don't want that to be lost. I still want everybody to have the belief that we will get better. We will come through this patch of shit. Am I allowed to say that? I want. My dad used to say, because don't forget, before Dad died, they weren't great again. And my dad used to say time and time again, I want Wolves to be great again, because he lived in an era where they were great, and he lived in an era where they weren't great. And he used to say, I want them to be great again. So I'll leave it with that we all want them to be great again. So come on, let's do something to make them great again.
Hope you're listening to that, Jeff Shee. And finally, for yourself, we will do the spin the wheel quickly at the end of this for a bit of fun and light-hearted break before we get on to the next people. But Jason, your final words and message, if Jeff's watching or anyone.
One of the best custodians of the club we've had in recent years was Sir Jack Hayward. And who did he put onto the board? Billy Wright. And why did he put Billy onto the board? Because Billy knows the club inside out, and he bleed old gold and black. And we need someone on the board like that for me. The highlight of my week last week was going to see Vicky Wright's show about her dad. Unbelievable. And I went to the one at Wolves, and equally I was in tears myself. The highlight of the match for me on Saturday and Sunday was I was in my mate's box and we had a Sunday dinner, and the Yorkshire puddings were fluffy, the roast potatoes were crispy, the gravy was thick, the carrots melted in your mouth, the mashed potato. That was the highlight for me, Sunday dinner.
Fantastic. See, we're getting some positivity, and we're going to have a little bit of fun to end it off, because we do have to do the wheel. Well, I was going to call it spin the beel, but that's gone out the window now, hasn't it? Because he's not coming.
It's nice that he got that food in the posh seats. My Baltic pie was bloody cold on. So that's it, and I got there really.
Jeff Shee and Scott Sellars for that.
Are you ready?
So are we all in on this?
Yes. There's going to be one question you've all got to answer. Here we go. The wheel is spinning.
Go on.
Oh, here's a good question. Who is Wolves' all-time greatest goalkeeper in your opinion? Chris, you can go first.
I'm going to dodge it slightly because I'm going to talk about goalkeepers that I've seen play.
Okay.
Because I can't really judge. We know all the legends. Best goalkeeper I've seen at Wolves is not because he was brilliant and because he was fantastic and he was an England international and he was skillful. It's because I loved him, and it's John Burridge.
John Burridge, character he is. He's a proper character. Jason?
He's a nutter, to be honest.
Oh, sorry. So clearly one of the greatest goalkeepers in our history. Once again, I never watched him play. It was Bert Williams. Yeah. Well, I never watched him play. Well, I hope I didn't. Mike Stoll, obviously the record appearance holder. But for me, and because he's one of the nicest people that I've ever met, Phil Parkes.
Fantastic. Phil Parkes. And Vicky, for you?
Well, you said it, Jason, before me, but I have to say Bert Williams because, I can only go on what my dad said. And Dad and Bert Williams used to share a sort of digs. They used to live together, but sort of share a same dressing room. And I spoke to Bert before he passed, and he said, your dad was the best friend I ever had. And they really loved each other.
Oh,
and so I have to say Bert Williams.
Fantastic. Well, guys, that was an opening 40 minutes of passion and fire. I love it. Absolutely love it. And we've got it. It's really, really engaging. This is going to rock and roll over the next few weeks for definite. Loads more to talk about. We've got loads more to come on. Jason, Vicky and Chris, thank you. Jason, I'm so looking forward to seeing Wolves' next manager on Thursday night with you.
Yeah.
Don't say that.
No, but listen, right, Dean Saunders is probably coming back to Wolverhampton at the best time because he didn't want, he said to me, he rung me the other day, I told you, Dave, he said, I don't really want to talk about Wolves. And I went, well, that's how I've advertised tonight, you've got it. But listen, Wolves are bottom of the league now. He's all right. He's out of jail.
It's going to be very entertaining and I can't wait, mate. We'll see you there.
Yeah, see you there.
Yeah, well, it should be a good night. Even though Jason's told me I can't ask questions, so that's...
No, you're banned.
I'm gagged is the right word.
Yeah, I've got the tape over your mouth, mate. Trust me.
I'm looking forward. I'm sure we'll talk more about it next week as well. Brilliant. Cheers, guys.
See you later. Bye-bye.
See you later.
Fantastic. Jason Guy from the Wolf Whistle podcast, regular friend of the show. Chris, and of course the lovely Vicky White. Right. Take care. Oh. So there you go. Absolutely fantastic. Right. Next up, we're going to bring on Alex. We're going to bring on Keith. And we're going to bring on Wayne. Before we get on to that, I do want to say a big thank you to Wolf Life, powering the Extra Time show. If you we insure our dogs and cats and mobile phones, there's a link below, especially at the moment, really important to get your life insurance sorted. They're a Bilston-based company, and you can fill in the form, and you go into the draw for a Wolves shirt as well. Thank you for them. Alex, Wayne, and Keith, welcome to the show.
Good evening.
Hi, Dave. Hi, Dave.
Just give everyone a little bit of background around behind you before we start. Keith, if you go first, give a bit of an introduction for you. I know you've been on before. And Wayne.
Yeah, I've followed Wolves since 77, 78. And I'm not an happy clapper, Dave.
No, I know.
No.
You will say it how it is. Wayne?
I will.
Yeah, Dave, as you know, originally from Bridgnorth, live in Melbourne, Australia these days. And as you know yourself, Dave, I am certainly not a happy clapper.
Hey, and Alex?
Yeah, I've been following Wolves on since I was a little boy, and I've been going for years and years and years. So, yeah, I'm a massive Wolves fan, and let's just say I am a happy clapper at times, but lately, just no, not really.
And whereabouts in the world are you based?
Oh, Bloxwich.
Bloxwich. Keith, let's kick off with you. What do you want to say?
I'm going to go a slightly different tact here, Dave, because I am really cheesed off of this. So what I've done is I've bought up job descriptions.
Oh, right, okay.
On the official Wolves website. Shall we start with Scott Sellars?
No, this is actually quite tasty. Yeah, let's go with it.
So in the Premier League, we've got 20 clubs, haven't we? And every club has either got a sporting director or a director of football, apart from Wolves.
Wolves are the only one without.
Yeah, well, Scott Sellars is described as, his actual title is General Manager for the technical side of football.
Yeah.
And this is his job description on the website. Number one, look after the technical side of the game for Wolves. Right. Number two, recruitment of all players. Number three, football analysis. Number four, look after the academy. And this one really gets me, Dave. Number five, the progression of the team. Now, I think progression being the important word here, the opposite of progression is regression. Right? And the meaning of regression, for anybody that doesn't know, a return to a former or less developed state. That's me being polite, Dave. Really polite.
I think that's really interesting. Wayne, do you want to come in on that? And on what your views before we get to Alex and get really stuck into the nitty-gritty?
Well, look, Dave, I mean, first off, I want to say, and I've been saying it for weeks, and you can quote me at the end of the season, that I don't think anything can save Wolves this year. I think we're down. Okay. Look, SHI and Sellars both have to be removed. Now, number one, everybody's laying in to Scott Sellars, and rightly so. But let's hang on a second. Who gave him that position and his job? If I'm right in saying, wouldn't it be Jeff SHI?
Correct.
Isn't he the one that gave Scott Sellars that position and that job? You know, Jeff SHI, his knowledge of football, you could put, honestly, on the back of a postage stamp. He hasn't got a clue and he hasn't got an idea. Now, you know, look at the decisions made this year, right? I don't know if you've seen the lads from Talking Wolves. Did you see the interview that they did with Roman Says and also John Ruddy?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it wasn't very complimentary. Okay. Now, the reality is...
Both players they didn't go all in, but you can read what they were saying and what they were needing.
You can certainly read between the lines, David, right? Yeah. And there is absolutely a total disconnect now. Now, I'm telling you something. This team that takes a pitch, I'm sick of hearing, well, this is the best team that we've had for years. Is it the best team, David? Maybe on paper, it's the best team. All these players that have come in, all right, are unproven. I'm not impressed with Collins. Okay, I'll be honest with you. I am not impressed with the guy at all. Guedes. What was Guedes? 27 million?
I had a message actually from a Valencia fan. I do get lots of messages, you can imagine, on the channel and stuff like that from different things. But he said, I know Guedes, when things go tough, he goes missing.
Well, and let's get on to the manager side of things. Just one thing. Do you, Dave, do you follow Wonder Kid from Porto on Twitter?
No.
He's based in America.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I get on really well with him. Now, he told me 2 weeks prior to Lopetegui turning down Wolves that he had it on good authority that Lopetegui would not take the job at Wolves due to his father. Nothing else was elaborated on. Didn't say his father was sick, but I got that 2 weeks before it was broke. And then they come out, Fosun, and they say, oh, Beale is our number one target. They go and announce it to the whole of the world. Do you not sort out if this guy is interested in coming to Wolverhampton Wanderers or not? I mean, it's amateur. It's so amateurish. It's not funny. You would see better Sunday pub teams run than Wolverhampton Wanderers right now.
Do you think they actually publicly announced that, or it was leaked? Because
no, I reckon they announced it. Yeah. They're clueless, man. They're a bunch of muppets.
I'm loving this passion tonight. I really am. That's why we get Wayne on. Alex, come in. How old are you, Alex?
I'm 19 years old.
19 years old. So you've probably not seen as much of the Wolves. You've probably obviously Wolves have been in the Premier League since you were about 14, so you've not suffered as long as the rest of us. But
no, my dad's seen a lot of bad things. He's been going since 70s, so
absolutely. What's your thoughts? What do you want to say tonight?
I just can't see where the lack. I just can't see where we're going. To be honest, with the team performances, it's like they've got a lack of ambition of where they're going. Like the owners, they've got a lack of ambition. Like, yeah, they spent over 100 million on players, but you know what I'm saying. But the players are not wanting to play for Bruno Lage, which he got sacked, and we got to look for a manager. Managers have turned us down, and then you've got Scott Sellars, who's been leaked to control all the tactics. And I'm thinking, what's going on? Like, what's the actual, where are we going forward as a club? Because, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I've not seen us, I'm 19 and I've seen, years and years of football, since I was a little boy. But, you know what I'm saying? But I just don't see where we're going forward as a club. Fosun. Jeff Shee said to watch out that we're going to be bigger than Man City, was it? But, you know what I'm saying? But, you know what I'm saying? I don't see where we're going, to be honest. I really can't.
It's
we're going to the Championship, mate. That's where we're going.
Yeah. The way we carry on, it's just, you know what I'm saying?
It's really, really, it's really upsetting for everyone. Keith, Sutty, we're just going to come back in onto you now to pick up on your points from where you got last time. You can hear, I think we heard Molineux. To be honest, I think the fans, the general fan base, have been more than patient over a very, very long period of time. Yes, there's dissent at the weekend, but they haven't necessarily turned on the players as such. But they're definitely focusing on now. Fosun were in the firing lineup in the summer transfer window for not spending the money. They come out and spent the money very late, and then it was on Bruno Lage. But the focus has now gone back to the decisions that have been making and who's been making those decisions. Sutty, you talked about Sellars' job description. Can you take your point on from there now on what you think the root causes and the only way that we can get out of this position? What would you do if you were like Fosun, for example? What decisions would you make?
If I'm the owner,
yeah,
I'm on a plane from China. I've got my ready-made CEO set up, whether he's coming from Grasshoppers or wherever. Jeff Shee's going to do his esports little gaming project, and Scott Sellars is shown the door, and it'll be the tradesman's entrance. He will never come into my club again. Never.
Yeah, I agree.
Right?
Yeah.
Hey, listen, the CEO, Jeff Shee, has got a board of directors. I think there's 6 directors, including himself, obviously CEO, and then there's 2 vice presidents as well. Well, they've got no clout. It's Steve Bull and Robert Plant at the end of the day, so they've got no clout at all. But it's his job to go between all directors when things go bad. And he's meant to sort this out, right? There's nothing happening, Dave. There's nothing happening. It's just stagnated. Villa have gone out tonight. They've sacked Steven Gerrard on Thursday after we heard it on the way back from Vicky Wright's do in Stafford, where I saw you. We're coming down the M6. Villa have sacked Gerrard. I said to my brother-in-law, give them 3 days. They'll have their new manager in. They'll have him already. They've gone out and got a guy that's won UEFA Europa Leagues, things like that. He was Arsenal manager. He's a big name. They knew who they were getting. As soon as Gerrard was sacked, they were on the phone. Their sporting director, or whatever description you want to give him, he knew exactly who he was going to go and get. The owners pay the bills, Dave. They know nothing about football. They pay this man, this director of football, to do a job and do it properly. And they trust him 100%. Can you trust Scott Sellars to do that job? I'll tell you why you can't. because he's just a yes man for the man at the top. And until the man at the top goes, we're doomed, mate.
How do you answer this question? Hodge has said, so Scott got given 5 people's jobs and we're pitting into the wall for it. Feels like we're just chucking darts at people, stroke things.
Rubbish. I'm telling you now, until it starts at the top, don't have a go at these 2 lads who have took the job on. They've been thrown under the bus. It's not their fault. We'd all do that job, Dave. If they come to me and you tomorrow and said, you two, can you do this for us? We'd give it a go because we love this football club. If you cut me and you in half and these 2 lads in half and everybody else on this show in half and everybody that's watching, we'll all bleed old gold and black. And we'd all do our best.
Tell you what, Sutty, and there are 400 people watching live right now, what you're saying, 400.
Now, whether they agree with me or not, I love this football club. I go all over like you do, Dave. Sometimes I go, like last week, I spoke to you on the phone before the game and I said, what did I say to you, Dave? I'm worried about this. Now, you're ever positive. Yeah. And you said to me, mate, be positive. We're going to do this. I said, Dave, these aren't a bottom 2 team for a start. And I think they'll come here, they'll soak up the pressure. And when you know that Wolves don't score, you will win that game.
And that's exactly what happened.
Mate. It's a dereliction of duty that we've relied on Raul Jimenez for 5 years and even thought we could get away with it after he's had basically a car crash injury that he's never going to be the same player from. And we go and shed loads of money. Sorry, I was going to swear then. I have to change the word. Shed loads of money on the same player time and time again. Did we need Mendes? No, we didn't. Why didn't we go and spend the money that we spent on the centre forward, Kalajdzic, which was best part 20 million, put the money with Mendes together and go and buy somebody that's not a crock? Because if you did your due diligence on that player and looked at his injury record, you would never, ever have signed him. You'd have come to me and said, should we sign him? I'd say, you're joking. He's only played 20 games in 3 years. We must be off our absolute rockers. Who is sanctioning this? And you've got to come back to 2 people. And those 2 people are Scott Sellars and SHI. And until they're gone, we'll be down. And I'm telling you now, they'll desert us like rats off a sinking ship. And it'll take us a long time to get back up, I'm telling you. I'm sorry, I'm angry. I'm really angry.
Angry is, I think, to be fair, Keith, I think angry, frustrated, vexed, bewildered, all of these words are summing up the fan base at the moment. And this has been festering for quite a while. Wayne,
Dave, there's 4 years of the first 4 years under Nuno. It's gone, mate. All that groundwork, it's gone. It'll take year after year after year to build that again. And it's gone, mate. We've destroyed it. Not us, not me and you, because we're always there. These lot will be gone long before me and you, I'm telling you. Long gone.
Wayne, do you want to come in now with more points that you want to make?
No, look, I mean, I just agree with absolutely, look, everything that he said. I mean, all the groundwork, all the work that, Fosun did initially to get us from the Championship up into the Premier League. And look, as supporters, we used to be proud. We could go toe-to-toe with any of the big teams. We may not have always, got a win, but we scared them. We go into every single game now, and as soon as Wolves concede, it's almost like, do you know what? I feel like we've lost this. They proved against Leicester how fragile this group is. That was a wonder goal. He could hit that 100 times, and that would only go in the back of the net once. But then they just totally capitulated on the pitch. You got players like Johnny who can't even be asked, running back, tracking. Everybody says, do they care? Well, I'll tell you what, Dave. Why should they care? Because if Wolverhampton Wanderers get relegated, they're moving on to other clubs. They don't give a... Yeah?
Money.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like they don't give a damn about this club. Now, you're going about all these Portuguese players. We know I know, and everybody else knows, what it is to be a fan of Wolverhampton Wanderers. You know the history. You know what it means. How can you expect really Portuguese players to come in? And do they really understand the history? I believe Nuno did, because I think Nuno studied it. He went right through it. Now, when they sacked Nuno, right, everybody was there and saying, oh, he's finished now. It was through a COVID season. There were many things. I was suffering mentally. I was seeing a bloody psychologist. I ballooned in weight. I put 30 kilos on. I've now lost 35 kilos in 6 months. There are things, there are issues, and there are problems that go on. It was premature to get rid of him. And then what do? They take up the cheap option in Bruno Lage. Now you're talking about Villa and Unai Emery. Don't expect Wolverhampton Wanderers to do that. That costs money. Now, we don't know how much compensation Aston Villa had to pay. But I'll guarantee you.
I've been told that it's about 6 million.
Okay, yeah. But Wolverhampton Wanderers won't pay compensation, but they will go and pay 37 million on a striker. The manager is the most important and integral part of a football team.
Exactly.
Right? If you haven't got a good manager, it doesn't matter how good your bloody players are on the pitch. Because you're like a ship without a rudder. You've got no direction.
Dave,
and I'll tell you something, Dave. We have no direction.
Dave.
Okay? And, I am fuming. This is beyond...
Feel your anger coming through the screen. Keith, you just wanted to come in there.
Yeah, just quickly. Man City, I think I told you this story. 3 years ago, we lost 3-0 on a Monday night. We were there early, right? And there's a big Asda over the road from it. So we went and had something to eat in there.
I know in there myself, yeah.
Yep. We had 2 in there and 2 Wolves guys walk in.
Just get a drink.
Regalia, all in the Wolves get up and what have you. And they got tabards on. So we sat next to it. They come and sat next to us and he seen my pin badge and asked me who he was. And he was a kit man. And I said, oh, what's it like? He said, well, I've been kit man for 34 years. I've seen my fair share of managers. I said, oh, have you? He said, yeah. I said, well, obviously you have. He said, yeah. He said, I said, what's this one like? No, he said, when he walks in the room, in the changing room, it can be all laughter, jovial, everything. It goes completely silent. This is about Nuno.
Yeah.
When he walks in the changing room, there is complete silence. You are in no doubt that he is the boss. No one else. And when he speaks, no one speaks. He has got the dressing room. He's the best manager he'd seen in 34 years. He said, and he runs that. It's a tight ship. It's a small ship, but he is the boss. We ain't had that since, Dave. It's gone. And until we get a manager like that, because I wouldn't blame that man if he never stepped foot in Wolverhampton again, because these idiots have treated him like something on the bottom of your shoe.
I think, and you know what, mate? And I will say this again, and I'll come on to Alex in a second. I sat down and had a conversation for an hour with someone. I ain't going to say who it is, but they are very, very, very close to Nuno through their association with the club and the work that they do for the club. And he knows Nuno incredibly, incredibly well. And obviously I can't say no, but this is the conversation. This was when Nuno was being mooted as coming back. And he told me, and I said it previously, no word of a lie, Nuno would walk literally across the sea to come back to Wolves. He rang him up and he said, I want to cut. His words were to this guy who is a friend of his, plays golf with him, was going over to Saudi Arabia to visit him and stuff like that. I want to come home. I want to come home. Now his words. Home. He used the word home. He's not from England or anything, but he sees Wolves and Molineux and the Wolves fan as his second home. He wants to come home. And he even asked about was his old house still free, that sort of stuff. and he was hoping it would come back. So all this stuff that was put out, obviously he did quote, which he's going to do in the Saudi press and say, I've got a contract. He's going to say that publicly. Privately, he's desperate to come home. He said when he left, this is farewell, not goodbye. It said everything you need to do. The reason why he left in the first place, because him and Jeff Shee had a massive falling out. This is what I'm told. A big argument where Nuno wanted the investment to take the club forward. Jeff was coming out of the pandemic, apparently, and this is allegedly that I'm being told, said we can't afford to do this. And Nuno said, well, this is what Nuno's told the guy who told me. I might as well not be here then. He said, and he went, no, and they had a falling out. Now, apparently, Jeff did go over there, and obviously there's conversations that's happened. Whether or not they've told Nuno, apparently Nuno said he'd pay some of the compensation as well to come back. That's how much he wanted to come back. They wouldn't pay the money, and they basically told him who he could bring in. And then there's this other thing that's come out that, Jeff was trying to sort it out so he could come back. And then it's been blocked by the top brass in China. So how much of that is all true? But there's multiple sources saying all of these things. This is why I say, if they've got any common sense right now, the only real person that can come back and try and get a grip of this mentality and bring the heart back to the club in the short term, at least, is Nuno, because he gets it. He understands. He's got that respect and reverence with the players already. And
but Dave, what you've got to understand is, if any of this is true whatsoever, why would Nuno even contemplate coming back?
I think genuinely because he feels it's unfinished business, and he genuinely loves, and his heart and soul is in Wolves. He was never in Tottenham. He never wanted to leave in the first place. Not really. We all were in shock when he left. There was a lot of the fans wanted him to go, fair enough, because of the football and the way it is. But there were circumstances with the pandemic and what was available at the time, not playing with any fans in the stadium. We all thought that when we got the fans back in the stadium the next year, which was last season, he'd be able to kick it on and get it back in, and he didn't get that chance. And I feel that's how he feels. He's got unfinished business. Jeff and Nuno, I think, could build those bridges back up again. And, people have arguments, don't they? They get past it.
I don't think so. That's just my personal opinion. I don't think so.
Fair enough. I'm just saying what I've been told. But
Dave, it's all hearsay. It's all conjecture. We had no evidence. I mean, if you went into a courtroom and you went up to a judge and said, "I've heard this, I've heard that,"
absolutely,
you'd be thrown out.
Well,
you've got to have evidence.
I could back it up.
You've got to have things based on actual facts and actual factuality. And all of this is really nice, but all it is I've heard from so and so. I've heard from this. Look, at the end of the day, what we do know is, I think all fans can see that the people that are running the club at board level are not up to the job, and they need to be removed. Now, I would say to Fosun, this is my personal opinion to Fosun, if you care about Wolverhampton Wanderers, you will remove SHI and Sellars, because the asset that you have bought is depreciating by every single passing day that goes by. Because I tell you what, when we land in the Championship, which is where I believe we are going to land at the end of this season, all of those players that we've got have gone. And I agree, we won't come straight back up. You've only got to look at Wolverhampton Wanderers and our history. We're not a team that comes straight back up. We will hang around the Championship for quite a few years, because that is the Wolves way. And everybody turns around, and you've heard it. Oh, well, we're an established Premier League side now. How the hell are we an established Premier League side How long have we been back in the Premier League? I'll tell you what's an established Premier League team. Teams like Everton, teams like Liverpool, teams like United, teams like Chelsea. All of those teams, they are established Premier League teams. We are not. Reality, fact.
We won't be if we go down this year. Alex, I want you to come in because you've been quiet for a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, what would you want to happen as a young fan, 19 years of age? For you, what's the solution? What are you feeling? How angry are you or upset are you? How angry is you or upset's your dad?
It's upset me a lot, but with my dad's been going since the 70s, and it's upset him a lot. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, because obviously my dad's been supporting Wolves since he was about 6 years old. I've been supporting Wolves since I was about 3. And literally, you know what I'm saying? Like, what I'd love Fosun to do is to sack Jeff Shea, because he's not showing any emotion. And I saw a photo on Twitter on after the game on Sunday, and there's just Jeff Shea just not looking bothered at all. Like, there's me going home from the game. He's not looking bothered at all on Twitter. And it's like, and then as well, as my dad said to me, Jeff Shea, obviously, Scott Sellars has got a board and a pen on next to him on a table next to a bunch of Wolves people. Apparently, he didn't pick a pen up the whole game to write anything down. He just watched it. He just watched it happen. And it's just, like Wayne says to me earlier, we're going down. I think we will. And if we do go down, it's going to take a foundation of years to build it back up. But if Fosun don't have the same ambition as they did years ago, we won't come back up. But what we need to do is have team spirit. We need to, if we brought Nuno back, he had team spirit, didn't he? You know what I'm saying? And if we bring in a new manager, hopefully they can bring in team spirit. Hopefully, you know, hopefully he can get the financial backing that he can have, because, you know, we don't want to spend too much money, because look at United, they've spent over £1 billion and they've won no trophies at all. But what we're saying is, you know what I'm saying, but if we brought in Lopetegui, which he rejected us, he's the one who gave Neves the captaincy at Porto at 17 years old. And I think that'd be a great option, but we need to wait. But at the moment, Steve Davis isn't the one. It's too much of a big job for him, to be honest, I think.
It's like what the guys have been saying. He's been thrown under the bus, really. He's a Wolves fan. He bleeds gold and black. He'll do anything. He's like, you know, he's an honourable person. He's a really top lad.
Dave, there's similarities between this and 2012, mate.
100%. I've said this. It's kind of like exactly what happened the last time.
We're diseased at the moment. This club is diseased from the top.
It's 2012 Mark II.
It is, mate. It is, Wayne. I agree with you.
But as I'm like, I have to try and be on the positive side.
The difference being is we're early on in the season.
Early in the season. Correct. We're not massively cut adrift. We've got 3 games, you know, got to hope we can get some points between now and the World Cup, or they make a decision. It's not.
We won't, Dave. We won't.
Not too late, is it? It's not too late.
Dave, I'm gonna say this. Here you go, all for your viewers, right? Aston Villa just spanked Brentford 4-0, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
You watch Brentford go and spank us.
I wouldn't be surprised. I'll be there. Yeah. Thanks to a friend of mine. But
because you know why, Dave? They have a striker. They have a proper striker.
I wish we had Ivan Toney in our team, I tell you. But what I'm saying to you, it's not too late yet. We're not down yet. But if we don't act, and I think this is the frustration and the anger.
But Dave, is a manager. You're all banking on a manager to come in and to change what's happening on the pitch. I don't see that is just going to happen like that. Everybody thinks, get a manager in, everything's going to be okay. I'm sorry, mate. These players have got the wrong attitude and they have got the wrong mentality. They do not have
war, Dave. No dogs of war in that team.
That's right. They don't have the stomach.
That badge.
They don't have the stomach.
It's depressing. It's really
Bottle
depressing.
job, Dave.
I'm hoping that they get that it's not too late. We can get someone in who can install that mentality and that spirit and the team back into the team, because there is a lot of talent in this squad and they're underperforming individually and as a unit. Their confidence is shot, and if you get the right person in, it can galvanise the team and get more out them. Then we can.
Connor Cody weren't the best player in the world.
No,
but he was a leader.
Correct.
You'll remember this bloke. Wayne will remember him. Alex won't. John McGovern.
Yep.
John McGovern was a bang average player, but he was a brilliant leader for Nottingham Forest. They won every cup by the FA Cup, 2 European Cups. He was bang average.
And Dave, I saw Wolves. And I saw Wolves beat the European champions in 1980 at Wembley. I was there, Dave. All right? I'll tell you what, I can't see this lot winning a cup for many, many years to come.
Well, we've got Leeds coming up soon in the next round. We're gonna have to start closing off this section, because this has been absolutely fun. And guys, I really appreciate your passion and your direct thoughts.
So, are you on Twitter?
Pardon?
Yeah. Look me up. I'll look you up. It's nice to meet some of this as angry as me.
I'll connect you two up. Don't worry about that. And what I'm saying, you haven't swore, which is hard not to do when you're so passionate. I know that.
Alex, surprising for me.
Alex, let's have a final thought before we get to the Wheel of Death. We'll have to be called that on this one. Alex, final thoughts, your highlight from the weekend. Are you and anything positive you want to say?
I don't really think that there is a highlight. I'd say the first 10 minutes, really, where we was playing well, and then it just fell apart. I just don't think there's a highlight at all, to be honest. I could just say until they scored, really, because until they scored, we was okay, but then once Tielemans scored that day, just...
Is there any hope for the Brentford game, Alex? Do you have any hope that we could do well at Brentford? We can get result at Brentford.
Normally, I am hopeful, but I'm not very confident. I'm not very confident at all. No, I don't think no one is, to be honest. But we've got to hope, ain't we? We've got to hope, but I'm not confident. I'm sorry, but I can't say it here. I'm not confident.
Here's a good strain. John Bowman, Wolves are a violin without strings. We won't get a note out of it till it's restrung.
That's all right.
Keith, give me your highlights and some positives. Come on.
Oh, Christ.
Okay, there is nothing from Keith. He's shaking his head. If you're listening to the podcast, Keith has
you're
said
just papering over cracks if you're trying to find positives, Dave. There are no positives.
Okay, there are no positives. And Wayne?
Yeah, the only positive for me is what a beautiful Leicester City's first goal was, mate. Absolute cracker. No, Dave, there's no positives from a performance like that. Like I said, look, mate, if you're looking for positives out of that, mate, you're scraping the bottom of the barrel.
I think we've scraped the bottom of the barrel. We're scraping the dirt underneath the barrel.
Yeah, well, that is well. That is well.
Barry West says, I think we needed this discussion, Dave. Well, that's what the channel's all about. You know, if it's good and it's good, but we give people the opportunity to come on and express, and that's what we're about. Guys, it's time for the wheel. Let's have a little bit of lightheartedness to finish off
good
with.
Emotion.
Yes, we've got the wheel. Can you see the wheel on the screen?
Yeah.
No, yes.
Here we go. Let's spin that wheel. Is it going to be Beale or no Beale? Have you had this one before? No, you haven't. This is a bit light-hearted. Who was your first crush? We'll go with you first, Wayne.
My first crush, I went to Bridgenorth in Dave School, and I was actually in a long-term relationship with a girl called Amanda Carter for 4 years, but there was always a girl there called Katrina Davis.
She's here right now.
No, there was always a girl there called Katrina Davis, and we got on really well. And she was always a girl that I had a crush on. I always kind of wonder what had happened if we actually had hooked up. And I think we could have, but we just never did. Yeah, so yeah, Katrina Davis, Bridgenorth and Dade School, if Katrina's out there and around and listening, hi.
Look you up. It's not too late, as they say. Alex, we'll go with you next.
My
I know you're
first
only
ever
19, so you should be able to remember this.
Yeah, obviously, I was first going into senior school. It was the first week, and the first day I looked at this girl called Katie, and I was like, wow, she's stunning, and it's just, I never had the guts to talk to her because I was just a shy kid.
What's her surname, Alex?
Oh no, I'm not gonna say it, but yeah, it's just.
She might.
Come on, Alex. Come on.
She might have had a thing for you as well,
No. She was into the popular ones, but but I was just a shy kid. I never really said anything to her, but until,
Katie, if you're out there, it's not too late. You and Alex. Keith,
Wonder Woman, Dave.
Wonder Woman. We could do with her on the pitch at the moment. With her
speed. Do with her in the dugout.
Well, we definitely could. Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for being so forthright. That's what it's all about. And as I say, you put it across in the right way. It's been a lot of passion. There's a lot of anger out there at the moment. It needs to be brought out. We just hope that there's people listening and action is taken, because, we don't want all that money and effort to get back into the Premier League and establish ourselves go to waste and out there, because surely Folkestone don't want us back in the Championship, all that investment they put in. Surely they want to make the right decisions now before it's too late. But thank you very much.
No worries.
Cheers.
Thanks, guys.
Dave. Thank you, everyone.
Wayne, Alex and Keith, absolutely brilliant to have them on. And next up, we're going to be bringing on regular pundit to the show, Jack, and you can see that Keith is already red with anger. He's red with anger, and Keith wanted to come on the show tonight, and I'm sure he's going to be interested.
Keith again, Dave. Dave, if you call me Keith again, I'm going to whack you.
Oh, Craig. Sorry, Craig.
If you call me Keith again, you see this is COVID, right? This is coming out of COVID, so don't make it worse.
Sorry. I mean, Craig, sorry. That's having so many people on in the screens and reading the thing. Craig has unfortunately got COVID, so you're not at band practice tonight.
No. It's my first day being negative today, so I've had a negative day today.
How are you feeling?
Much better, but I spent 3 days in bed, so it was pretty rough. And Sunday didn't help, did it? But there you go.
No, it didn't. And Jack, welcome.
Oh yeah, Jack.
You're right. You okay?
Craig, make your point.
Yeah, Dave, we're in trouble, and we've been in trouble for about a season and a half at least. You know what I did for a job? I've been in senior management most of my working life, and it's really easy for people to moan at senior managers because people rarely understand what they do. When you get a bad manager, it's really easy to see because nothing works. Nothing works down the whole business. Jeff SHI needs to go, and he needs to go very quickly because he doesn't know what he's doing, and he hasn't known what he's been doing since he replaced the director of football that he's never replaced. I'll do it myself. Well, the bloke's a numpty because he doesn't understand football. He doesn't understand how football clubs work, and so it starts at the very top. The moment we lost our director of football, this club started to lose its direction, and that's why. And I believe everything that you said about your contact with Nuno. The moment that Nuno started to be miserable on the sidelines was when we'd lost the director of football, and SHI's influence started on our club. That bloke does not know what he's doing. Worse than that, the bloke under him is an even bigger prat. He's an even bigger numpty. He's an even bigger dickhead, right? He needs to get out as well, because between SHI and Sellars, They're crucifying our club. We can moan about players, and some of our players need to hang their heads in shame because whilst they will have no direction and no leadership, which is clear, they have no shape, they have no leadership. The biggest problem is that all comes from above them, and there is no leadership above them. So there is no structure anywhere in our club. You can bring the best players in the world into Wolves at the moment, and they will not play. Man United are an absolute mirror about what's going on at Wolves now. That club is poison from the top down, and we've joined their club. There's no point talking about tactics on the field because it's deeper than that. You know, I made some points here, and I apologise to the other guests here. There's no spine down the club. Three wins in the last 20 games. Our goal scoring record over the last 2.5 seasons has been appalling. We have a chronic scoring issue, yet Sellars and Bruno talk about Cody and dismantle our greatest asset, which was our back line. That was the reason that we were doing so well. But they decided to focus on Cody and say that he's not good enough. Why should he stop? Why should he stop? So the reason we were not losing games, these two muppets have a go at one of our greatest leaders and assets. They did nothing about the lack of goals, which has been killing us for 2.5 seasons. And our midfield, I love Neves, Martino, but they are slow. They want to play pedestrian. They want to hold it back. They don't do the first ball. And we've been talking about this, Dave, for the last 1.5 years. It's slow. Teams can easily defend against us, but our rot starts in the boardroom. Right, I'll shut up now for a bit and get me colour back.
Mate, I'm telling you what, there's a lot of people agreeing with what you've got to say, Jack. You're generally the voice of reason on this channel when you come on and talk, but really going to be. That's why I kept you to the end. You've listened to a lot of the guests. What do you want to say tonight?
It's difficult to disagree, isn't it? I mean, I think going back to what Craig's just said about businesses, Wolves need to do an external review. Whether it's Fosun, whether it's Chairman Guo, he needs to come in and say, right, someone who's independent of the club, who's never set foot in Molineux or Compton Park before, needs to come in and go, right, who's this guy? What's his role? What are we paying him? Is he justifying his salary? Who's this? What are they doing? I'll give you 2 examples from yesterday of how you can see how badly run the club is at the minute. Number 1, at half-time on the pitch, they had the half-time game, didn't they? There were 10 members of staff stood around. They needed 1, and it was the presenter, Gemma, with the microphone. I don't know what the other 9 people were doing. They're all just stood around in the tracksuits and the...
Were they there for moving the thing?
Possibly, but they don't need to be stood there, do they? They could have gone back to the side and then come and got it at the end, couldn't they? It's just, again, it's lack of leadership, lack of cohesion. And then the second one was the flares. I know someone's touched on it earlier. Why are Diego Costa and João Moutinho having to get flares off the pitch?
Absolutely.
When we've got safety stewards, fire stewards, all these people that are paid and employed by the club to deal with that issue. Ridiculous. Why is Diego Costa having to get a flare off the pitch or a smoke bomb, whatever you want to call it? That is ridiculous. And that is exactly what Craig was saying, and Sutton and Wayne and everyone else. It comes from the top. At the minute, there is zero accountability at Wolverhampton Wanderers. Zero. Because Jeff SHI has given a manager the job who probably didn't think that he would ever get it, Steve Davis. When they said to him on Sunday, the 3rd of October, when they sacked Bruno Lage, will you take the team for training? He probably thought, yeah, I'll do that for the week and they might have someone in for next week. If not, I'll do the Chelsea game and then they've got someone else. He's now potentially, if they go through with this and keep him there, he's going to have managed 20% of our season as an interim manager. Which other club would risk an interim manager for 20% of the season? Now, this is not Steve Davis's fault. I want to make that really, really clear. It is not his fault. Okay? But you cannot be making those kind of decisions. We need a manager in the dugout for Saturday. Jeff SHI needs to swallow his pride, eat humble pie, whatever you want to call it. Sorry, guys, we made a mistake. Steve Davis isn't going to manage us till the new year. This is our guy. He needs to be on the phone to Lopetegui now, because I still think that's his plan. To wait till the Christmas period, till Lopetegui's had some time with his family. What about now, Julien? He needs to be on the phone to him tonight, if not yesterday, and saying, if you can't come today, you are not coming at all. The deal is dead. And we need to go and find someone else who will come in. Okay?
Absolutely.
We cannot just keep meandering along this season. You look at the league table now, it looks terrible. It makes terrible reading for this football club, but it is not irrecoverable. We need clarity from the top. We need accountability. We need responsibility. And until that comes from the top, it's never, ever going to come on the pitch. You can see players, I mean, Johnny Otto, absolutely disgraceful performance yesterday.
Yeah.
Disgraceful. Cost us at least 3 goals. At least 3 goals. In fact, it was 3 goals because he wasn't on the pitch for the 4th, was he? My mistake. But that's not, you can't just go, oh, we lost that game because of Johnny Otto. That's just part of the bigger issue. You know, there's people.
Can I make Semedo? Why hasn't somebody on the coaching staff asked Semedo to mark nearer to his touch line? He always leaves about 10 yards between him and the wing, and there is always an out ball, as happened at Crystal Palace twice for both of their goals, over the side of him. Why is a coach not said to him, Nelson, you're too far into the penalty area. You need to be close to the touchline. Why? If we can see that, why can't this genius Sellars? Why can't he see it? Because he ain't a genius, he's a prat, and he needs to get out of Wolves.
Well, I'll tell you what, there is so much. I'm really feeling it tonight, and it's manifesting itself over the last week. I think with the managerial situation, the results, the capitulation at the weekend, the fans are desperate. And I think, Craig, we and Jack, you probably all be fair to say the fans have been very, very patient for a long
they've been
time.
Amazing.
They have been patient. And if Jeff thinks and Scott thinks that the weekend was bad, that's nothing compared to what it could be. The fans still supported the team, got behind the players. They made their voices heard, their opinions heard at certain points during the game. There was still a lot of the fans that stayed at the end to show support to the players. And I do want to just give a shout out. I know Collins didn't have a great game, but like a lot of the players that you mentioned went off down the touchline at the end of the game. Ruben Neves came round the ground to the fans and applauded the fans. And even Collins, who basically had a dreadful, had 4 go in, he had the balls to come round to the fans and stay out on the pitch. He went all round apologising, and that says something about a 21-year-old that he would do that, that he cared enough to do that.
Just on that,
how many stayed on the pitch, Jack? Who stayed on the pitch?
Yeah, just on that, Dave. Collins came out after the game, didn't he? And he said, at the very least, the fans want to see us try hard. Now, if you read between the lines of that, he's saying that some of those players on the pitch weren't trying hard.
And they weren't.
No.
Shall we go through the team, folks?
Dave, can I make one last point here? You might think that I'm an hard-nosed dick.
I love it, mate.
I've had to do some pretty tough things in my career. I've sacked people and whatever, and it's never nice. And anybody that enjoys that sort of thing is a bit creepy. But the one thing that I will always look for, I will always look for a competence in a job. So I think on the Collins front, he's just bloody nervous at the moment. He's playing in a team that he's looking at and he's thinking, I thought I'd come into a star-studded team here, and I am crapping my pants every time the ball comes near me. I think he's recoverable. But you look at the likes of Bruno, which is why I wasn't sorry to see Bruno go, Jeff SHI and Sellars. And in a managerial point of view, you look at problems and you look at what are your problems? How long have they been there? And who's done anything about it? We have had the same problems at Wolves now for 2.5 seasons, and nothing's happened. The recruitment has been absolutely shocking. Our tall lad that came in, I know he's bad luck and all that, but his injury record, Mane, his injury record, Dave, is appalling. We shouldn't have touched him with a barge pole. His injury record is dreadful. What were we spending that sort of money on him for? So SHI and Sellers and the whole spine of our management are culpable in all of this, and now it's taken form in our first team, and they lack cohesion. There is no plan there. There is no structure there. There is nobody fighting for each other because we've got no leadership in the club.
Well, we're going to, I mean, Manny, you're coming in. First of all, I just want to say a big thank you to Neil and Richard for your super chats. That really helps fund the software for doing this sort of stuff. So thank you very much. Craig, you make some really good points. And Jack, Manny, it's been, first of all, Manny's coming on late because it's Diwali. He's been over at the temple. He says if he gets back on, he'll come on towards the end.
How you doing? You know what, Dave? I haven't listened to anything. Obviously, I've only just clicked on StreamYard, and all I can say is forget football. Let's take up fishing or something. You know, something a bit more peaceful and relaxing. You know,
very passionate, a really passionate show tonight with a lot of people. There's a lot of anger.
Yeah.
Like, let's see what you want to say because you've come on now, and obviously the guys can jump in on what you say.
Okay.
What points would you like to make?
First of all, I didn't go to the game. Obviously, I was busy this 3 days. I had, unbelievable following my faith as a Sikh. And Sundays especially. I hate Sundays when they play football on Sunday because it's my day of rest and recuperation. And so I didn't go to the match. And I watched 10 minutes, I think, up until they scored. And I couldn't believe how well Wolves played until they scored. And then it obviously all fell apart after that. But for me, there's one problem at Wolves. And for me, it's not Steve Davis. It's not even Scott Sellars. It's Jeff SHI. Jeff SHI is the problem at Wolves. If you ever get close to anybody at the club, whether it's people who work in the foundation, whether it's people who work I don't know, in the retail, whether it's people who work on the front of house security, Jeff SHI is not approachable. He's not a very, he doesn't show passion or emotion. He's very straight-faced, very cold, bit of a control freak. And it's all come to fruition, isn't it? He's pretty much ripped out the fabric of the club. I called it on a tweet. The fabric, which was people like Kevin Thelwell, people like Laurie Dalrymple. These people were in place. These were football people. These were people's people. They knew how to talk to players. They knew how to talk to fans. And that bond is so, so important. You can have all the talent in the world. I can buy 10 Formula One cars. I don't know how to bloody drive them. They'll be no use to me. I'll be crashing them everywhere. And pretty much what Wolves have done is they've collected, almost like playing Football Manager. Jeff SHI's playing, I'm pretty sure he does read Twitter and he plays Football Manager and believes which players we should sign depending on that. And it doesn't work like that because what you don't get in Football Manager and FIFA and esports is passion, is emotion, is leadership, is teamwork, it's wanting to be there for each other, having each other's back, protecting players that might be suffering. We've ripped all that out. We've ripped the fabric out in the coaching staff. We've ripped that fabric out in the managerial staff. We've ripped that fabric out in the playing staff. So yeah, players will change. Dendoncker, would you have him back? I think we would right now. I think compared to what we got, I think might have kept him. Cody, would you have him back?
Yeah.
Is he any worse than what we've got there at the moment? Let's be honest. You know, Sice, is he any worse than what we've got? You know, we've ripped a lot of players out very quickly, very experienced players. Yes, they will be managed out, Marcel or Sice, but we've done it a lot. Ruddy, you know, another one. These players were in and around the youngsters. We've got a lot of young players. Kilman and Collins, remember, they're talented defenders, but they're very young. This type of pressure they've never felt before. Who do they turn to? They've got no manager. They've got no coach. You've sacked the manager. Who's he going to go? Go above the manager. Jeff Shee and Scott Sellars. Are they going to be the compassionate ones to put their arms around them? No. So where's the leaders? There's no leaders. All the pressure's on one man, Ruben Neves, you know, as our captain. He's pretty much been left alone. He's just got that captain's armband, almost like a token gesture. You know, we're lacking leadership. We're lacking foresight. We're lacking just pure passion and emotion of what we're trying to do as a football club. And we've ripped all that out. And the man responsible for all of that is Jeff Shee. He took that responsibility upon himself. He got rid of all those key players and said, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. He appointed somebody from the youth setup who was completely out of his depth in the role alongside him, Scott Sellars. You know, he appointed him. It's no good saying, oh, we want Sellars. Who appointed him? Jeff Shee appointed him. You know, I've heard rumours why he's appointed. I don't like to listen to rumours, Dave, without any substance. I don't like listening to people saying, but somebody told me, this was out the blue about 3 months ago. Somebody said Jeff Shee was facing a driving ban. He was about to get 3 points, which would have banned him, and Scott Sellars took the points for him. Scott Sellars took the points for him, and he's done him a favour and promoted him. And this, okay, it's come from quite a knowledgeable person, but I don't, you know, for me, it's without any evidence. It's just hearsay. But actually, the more you think about it, the more it seems like that. You know, he's promoted somebody from nowhere into that role and got rid of. Look at Kevin Thelwell. Look what happened to Everton. The first thing he did was made sure, you know, when Cody came available, get him in, because he knows that takes so much pressure off a manager. You got Cody in the dressing room. Every young player has got a point of contact. He's around everybody, and yet, and that value, you can't price that. Now, we got rid of Cody for £4.5 million. He's gone. He ain't coming back. He's gone. £4.5 million. We got rid of Dendoncker for like peanuts compared to what we spent on Nunez and Guedes, right? We got rid of Marcel, Sice, Ruddy for nothing. So it wasn't money. This wasn't, oh, we need to raise lots and lots of money, because we've got rid of them for nothing. You know, and again, it all goes back to Jeff Shee. He appoints the manager. He appoints Scott Sellars. He decides to get rid of all those key positions. Until Jeff Shee leaves the club, nothing will change.
Manny,
I'm sorry.
And Craig, mate, this is brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Look at it this way, Dave. Look at it this way. Kevin Thelwell fell out with Jeff Shee. Laurie Dalrymple fell out with Jeff Shee. Nuno fell out with Jeff Shee. Bruno Lage fell out with Jeff Shee. Where's your common denominator?
Well, I said it as a tagline, you know, the headline thing, should she sack Sellars?
No.
But like, should
Fosun need to, what does she have? You know, what power does he have? The companies he's managed in the past for Fosun were worth about £2 million each. They were hugely massive turnover companies that he was managing. Suddenly he's a chairperson of a Premier League football club, right at the top level of the football pyramid. The Premier League is the elite league in the world football, and he's been put in place there. And let's be honest, go through all his managerial appointments. Only Nuno, which is basically needle in a haystack that Nuno worked out for him. Everything else has been a failure. Everyone he's appointed, whether it's in the managerial side, whether it's in the playing staff side, has been a failure. Let's be honest, it's been a failure. The Nuno years were great. That was pretty much down to him alone, I would say. And plus, he had a group of players who bought into his ideas, and they all had natural leadership qualities. All those players did. They had Ruddy and Cody, absolutely huge in the dressing room. Those people, that mentality, when you go into a room and you've got figures like that, don't matter if they've never played. Keeping them keeping them as part of the, the fabric is so important. You bend over backwards to keep those players. Look what Lampard said about Cody on the weekend. He's playing in a back four, kept a clean sheet against Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace, who run us ragged every time we play him. He kept a clean sheet against those forwards, and they're beating 3-0, playing in a back four. Can't play a back four. Of course, every so often, a centre-half is going to be found out, and you're going to come up against some of the best strikers in the world, and they're going to get the better of you. That's life. What Connor Cody offered us was far more than his frailties, and we ripped that out. We threw that away. We basically put that in the bin. And again, I go back to the person who appoints all these players, who appointed Bruno Lage, who decided that Nuno's days were numbered, who decided that he didn't want Dalrymple or Thelwell. We all saw that picture on the pitch in the Championship days when he's got his arms around Thelwell, Nuno, and Dalrymple, and he's next to the Championship trophy. Here we are, 4 or 5 years down the line, he's the only one left because he wants to be the only one left.
Craig,
that's ridiculous.
Craig, what's the answer, mate? What's the answer?
Everyone said what the answer is. We've got to get a new CEO in without any. Folks are not stupid. This is a multi-billion-pound asset management company. They are not going to throw away hundreds of millions of pounds of investments. So they'll be looking at this really, really closely, and they'll be watching shows like this day. Believe you me. Because they'll be wanting to understand how the fans feel. Yeah, without any doubt. We have to get a director of football in, and we have to start again. But we haven't got the time to spend months about it. We've got to highlight who we need, and we've got to put the spine back in the team. And I mean the team of Wolverhampton Wanderers, not just the first team. On Sunday, Dave, with our club in absolute disarray, we still bossed the ball on that pitch against what I thought was a very poor left side. I thought Crystal Palace were quite poor as well. But we are not going to frighten any teams at the moment because we've got no goals in us whatsoever. So teams are more than happy to give us some more. But we need to appoint a new CEO. We need a new director of football. Sellars, he's clueless. He as Manny articulately said, he was brought up from the youth team. I've seen these backhanders things, Dave, and I don't mean bribes or whatever. I've seen how this works. Sometimes you can be totally useless and find yourself in a very, very elevated position because you might be a yes man as well. Somebody that is going to say yes to everything that I say. We don't need that at Wolves at the moment. Is Nuno the answer? You know what, Dave? I don't know. But we need somebody of real strength in this club that isn't afraid to tell people to butt out and to tell those players on the pitch, whether there's Johnny, people that are sauntering about at the moment, to get their damn fingers out. You do not do that in the Black Country. Wolves fans expect one thing at the very least, and that is 100% commitment. If you don't give that, mate, we will not forgive you at all. When we go in those trenches, we go in together and we watch each other's backs. That's the way that we're built. And when we see members of our team not doing that, Collins is 21 years old and he's seeing people that are worth 35 million just walking around on a pitch when we're being battered 4-0. What would that do for your confidence, Dave?
Well, it wouldn't, would it? Jack, you said about an independent review coming in, someone like outside coming in and assessing the club. I mean, you've heard what Manny's had to say, what Craig's had to say. What is literally your thoughts on what would happen if you were like the owner right now? What's the action that you would take tomorrow?
Well, I think we've kind of all sort of nailed it, haven't we? the club has got no direction. When we were in the Championship, the ambition was promotion. Then it was establishing ourselves. Then it was that FA Cup run. Then it was the Europa League run. I couldn't honestly tell you right here, right now, what our ambition is for this season. I mean, at the minute, it's got to be to stay up, hasn't it? But at the start of the season, if I'd have said to you, what are we trying to achieve this season? You do 9th, 10th, maybe a cup run. There's no clear direction. There's no clear ambition. And that comes from the top. So what we need to do is we need to create a real clear structure within the club that me, you, Manny, Craig, everyone who's watching can understand. The head coach, because we're not going to have a manager, it's going to be a head coach, is in charge of this. This is what he does. The director of football, sporting director, technical director, whatever you want to call him, is in charge of this. This is what he does. And the chairman, the executive chairman, the replacement for Jeff Shee, if you like, this is what he does. And then everyone understands, and then that gives everyone, supporters, players, staff, a level of accountability. And you know, if something doesn't go right, this is the person that will be able to respond to it and sort it out. Because at the minute, I don't have any faith in Jeff Shee to sort this out. I said earlier, we need a manager in for the Brentford game. Do I think that's going to happen? No. But we need it. And at the minute, I just don't have any faith that they're going to get their heads out of the sand and go, ball this up. We need to get a manager in there. We need to sort this. We need to get this sorted. As of right now, I just don't have any faith that they're going to do it.
Manny, do you think time is up for Jeff then?
Oh, no, Jeff has to go out the club. I don't care if we get bloody Pep Guardiola in. Doesn't matter. Jeff has to go because you're talking about the whole structure of the club from top to bottom, and it starts with the chairman. It starts with his visions, his goals, his ethos, and then that spreads. It spreads into his managers, spreads into the playing staff, it spreads into the players. He's got nothing. He's completely unapproachable. He's a control freak. He gets rid of people and he wants to do everything himself. And he does it all poorly. He does it very, very poorly. He got a bit lucky with Nuno. Nuno was a great manager who had the right players. Nuno came in tomorrow. He'll probably look around that dressing room and think, bloody hell, I ain't got a single leader in these. All my leaders have all been shipped out. Where do I bloody start?
Do you know what I think? I talked about earlier before you come on. I have been told that the plan is for Jeff for next season that he's going to move over to the passion that he really, really is interested in, which is the esports side of things. Which is like I've heard this from Russell in terms of he hasn't told me this, but I've had conversations. Jeff loves the esports side of things and stuff like that, and I've been told that that's what the plan is for Jeff, and we're going to get this person in, the chairman of Grasshoppers, who's more of a football thing. If that's the plan, what they're thinking of doing, then they need to accelerate these plans.
Dave, if our chairman, a football club in England, a football club in Wolverhampton, the prime football club, one of the founder members of the Football League, has a chairman whose first priority is interest in esports, he should be thrown out of that club. He should be thrown out of that club. I
believe that's
that's a bit part. That's an extra bit. All like merchandise, they're extra bits that fans, me and you and Craig and Jack, we don't need to know about. We're not interested. We don't play it. It's for players, and I understand it makes money. I understand it's valuable, but that can't be the prime motive of a chairman of a football club in this country. That's horrific. If that's his thinking, that's my passion. Well, go and live your passion. Go and buy somebody. Go and buy Bilston Town and turn them into the best esports club in the world. This is Wolverhampton Wanderers, one of the founder members of the Football League, establishing them in the top flight, in the top seat of football is his priority. And if that's not his priority, he needs to get out. Honestly, he needs to get out. And we don't know what his priorities are because guess what? They don't talk. They do the Ask Wolves. But if you look at the Ask Wolves, when you go back to it,
it's managed. It's managed.
It's totally managed. And he is so clean cut. He is clean cut. There's no emotion. There's no passion. Look at us four. We're just fans, aren't we? And look at the way we're speaking. There's real meaning behind everybody's words. So how come our chairman doesn't have real meaning behind his? He doesn't, and maybe that's just the way he is. And if that's the way he is,
I think it is the way he is. I mean, he comes from a
so
different.
get rid of him then.
He comes from obviously a different culture. We know that he goes to the games on his own. He doesn't travel with anyone else. He's quite a solo type of person. But you do, and you know, he's got whatever he's very single-minded in what it is. But you've got to have have that emotive bit about you. You've got
you know, when the troops are suffering, you've got to rally around. 100%. Those type of people are no use in the trenches. You know, when you look at each other and think, who's there for me? And this guy's sitting on his own on a table and not talking to anybody. It doesn't work like that. It just doesn't. You can't just press buttons and buy. Oh, Fosun have given me 100 million. Let's buy midfielder, winger. Here you go. It doesn't work like that. You know, team is literally, you can have a very good team network and a proper setup with rubbish players, and they will still put in a shift and perform better than what we're performing. And we've seen that.
I tell you what, if the manager can get sacked and replaced because he's not performing, then that goes for anyone else.
I don't know if you've talked about Steve Davis yet. You know, I feel so sorry for him. Honestly, I feel so sorry for him.
He's been thrown
hung out to dry, announced, and then even went out and announced until 2023. That's like another 6, 7 weeks or 8 weeks, whatever. That's ridiculous, absolute ridiculous. This guy has managed Nantwich and Crewe Alexander. You know, are there 19 better managers in the Premier League than what we have? All of them.
Totally.
I'd have any one of them. I'd have all of them before what we've got.
Dave, you mentioned earlier that you'd had a lot of info about Nuno, and Nuno had gone to SHI, and he clearly, you see great leaders and great managers identify problems within their businesses. Manny will tell you this. I don't know what you do, Jack, but you are constantly looking. It's not what you do on a day-to-day basis, trust me. You are thinking constantly. You're looking at your business at a very, very wide angle, and you're seeing what works, and you're looking at what doesn't work. And if you're a manager of any sort or a leader of any sort, you are looking to put what doesn't work right very, very quickly. We've had something that doesn't work now for 18 months, and nobody's done anything about it. Now, you said that Nuno and SHI fell out because Nuno went to SHI and he wanted something.
Allegedly, yeah.
And maybe Nuno knew exactly what was going wrong, and he wanted some money to put it right. And that's where they fell out. Because also good managers know that if you don't put certain things right, you're never going to move forward. And we've not gone forward now. We've actually gone backwards.
It's a crying shame,
stagnated, haven't we?
Jack,
we've absolutely stagnated. Yeah.
We're coming up to 2 hours on this podcast. Again, it's like it's been a big one. Again, we need to start obviously closing it down and stuff like that. So, Jack,
Dave, one last thing, Manny, you are a bloody hero, and I know that you will out for saying it because you're a proper Sikh man. One of my best friends was a Sikh, and I understand your culture. Let me tell you something, mate. What you do for society, what you do for the Wolves brand as a human being and an individual, my hat is well and truly off to you, my friend. You are a superhuman.
Cheers, Craig. You know, I appreciate everyone's words. You know, it just shows you what Wolves have. Wolves have this passion. You guys are passionate. I'm passionate, and we do good things together. This is what I do is not possible without the togetherness, without everybody joining in and playing a part. And that's what frustrates you, that Wolverhampton is such a wonderful footballing city. You know, we've only got one club. We haven't got, we're not in London or Birmingham or places like that. We've got 2 or 3 clubs with one town, one city, one club, and we're all very, very passionate. And every fan you speak to has their own passions and their own concerns, and they might disagree in terms of who we should sign and who the manager, but actually one thing they do is they all care. And if you care, then you're in a position to, put things right. And right now, we don't see our players, our coaching staff, our managers, the people that have been put in place, do they really get it? Do they really care? Would they really, walk over hot coals to, do things that me and you, the fans, would do. We would do, if somebody said, well, if you do this and you'll get this, then we'd say, yeah, we'll do that for our town, for our city, for our club. And I just don't think we've got that type of attitude, that type of mentality, and it all stems, like I said, from the leader. You get a good leader, you send your kids to school, the headmaster's rubbish, don't matter how good the teachers are. Honestly, you go to work, you might have been working for a brilliant company for 20 years, you get the wrong CEO and you can't wait to get out. We've all been there. You can't wait to get out. There's nothing wrong with the company. There's nothing wrong with the job. You loved it, but the person, the leadership, the vision, the goals, the encouragement, even criticism. There's a way of criticism players which actually make them respond and be better. I don't think Wolves have got anything in their makeup. In their makeup, that's all been disintegrated away, and we don't see anything visible. All those people. Russell's a brilliant guy, but he's marketing.
He's a Wolves fan.
Vinnie Clark's retail. The people that are put forward, they're not really footballing people as such. They're not having a say on what concerns us, the football pitch. The only ones we see is SHI and Sellars, and that's it. We're pretty much, if you went through the whole Premier League and you had to grade all the sporting directors and the chair, we'd be the worst. We'd be the worst in terms of chairman, in terms of sporting director, in terms of manager now. No disrespect to Steve Davis. None of the other 19 clubs would sign Steve Davis as their manager. Not for even one match. Not even for one match would they sign Steve Davis as their manager. None of them. Do you think Steve Cooper at Nottingham Forest, if they'd lost again, would be calling for Steve Davis? Of course they wouldn't. If Nottingham Forest were down the bottom. Do you think Leicester, if they'd sacked Brendan Rodgers, if we'd beaten them, would want Steve Davis? I don't think so. So no disrespect to Steve and James and all the people being brought in. Go back to the academy, teach the kids, do what you're good at, where there's no pressure. That's your forte. That's your specialist subject.
Sellars as well. He did a decent job with the academy.
Go back there and do it. We can't. We've got enough kids. We've got kids in our team, and now we've got bloody kids as staff and kids as managers and kids. You need experience, man. Every walk of life, you always look at the people who experience, the people who've worn the t-shirt, have walked the walk, and they come back to you. If I was going to London, Dave, I'd ask somebody who'd already been. I won't ask somebody who's never been, because they'd be telling me a whole road of rubbish. Someone who's been will tell me where the pitfalls are, where the roads are blocked, how long it takes, which roads to avoid. I'm going to listen to him. We haven't got those type of people anymore at our club. We got ripped them all out. And that, again, you go back to the person at the top. He's got to carry the can. You can carry on sacking managers, sacking sporting directors, changing your players. But if the leader, the guy who sets the vision at the top, is exactly the same, it will catch up with us again. I'm pretty sure. So this is not for me. Yes, a new manager, but we've got to get Fosun have to just look and think, oh my God, we need you out, mate. We need you out. And I hope they bloody listen. I hope they watch these things, because we care, man. I'm walking to bloody Chelsea on behalf of the club. It's because we care. We all care. The way Craig, Jack, you speak, and I'm sure the other speakers have spoke as well. People actually very passionately care. They say we don't enjoy being angry. We don't enjoy criticizing people. Do you think we enjoy that? But when we see something wrong, we call it out. People might think I volunteer for the foundation. I've got links or connections with the charity. The charity work I do. I'm not scared of telling somebody when they're wrong, because if you're wrong, you're wrong, and you've broken the spirit of our football club, and we need it back. And we only get it back when you leave the football club, Jeff, wherever you are.
Wow, fantastic, guys!
Put it this way as well. Just quickly, we did a 2-hour show, didn't we, a few weeks ago about Bruno Lage. He had to go. He was a donkey, useless. I've not seen a shred of evidence since that he was the main problem. Not a shred. No. You look at Aston Villa the other day. They stacked Steven Gerrard, and 2 days later they won 4-0. Now that shows you that he was the problem. Now, yes, Bruno Lage, we needed to go. Of course he did. But I've not seen any evidence that he was the main cause of our trouble. None at all.
Bruno going has probably expose more of the cracks now, because we now see where the real problems are. You know, it's easy to aim them at the manager all the time. Now we've got a non-manager in place. Our focus isn't on him. It's not on Steve Davis. Would you feel sorry for him? He should never be in that position. So our focus now, quite rightly, switches to the people in control. And now we begin to see things unraveling, that these people just do not know what they're doing. They're beyond their position. They're promoted. Why they're promoted? There's something going on somewhere, but it happens at all workplaces. You know, people at your workplaces who've got managerial jobs who you haven't got a clue how they've got there, and they've got there, and you can't have that in a football club, because my job doesn't involve or affect any of you guys, but a football club, it affects the whole city. There's, you know, hundreds and thousands of people affected. So, you know, people are paying 600, 800 quid, whatever, for a season ticket. People are paying, you know, I saw a guy said, you know, he was struggling this season, and he just spent 130 quid on him and his son, 2 tickets and travel, and then to watch that on Sunday, you know. Nah.
Heartbreaking. You know. I think that's all we all feel heartbreaking. Anyway, we're going to have to bring it to an end. Final thoughts before we get on to the spin the wheel. Jack, from you, final thoughts, any highlights from the weekend, any positivity that you can shed at all?
I suppose the positive was it stopped raining, didn't it? Because it was absolutely pissing it down all morning. I thought this is going to be awful, but it stopped raining. So we'll take that, won't we, as a positive. If you asked me to choose a man of the match, I'd have gone Chem Campbell. So I thought in the 15 minutes he was on the pitch, he put some tackles in, he ran with the ball, which is a lot more than some of them did. So, you know, and I think that exposes again, doesn't it, just what a non-performance it was. I agree with someone just put on the comments, there's still a lot of time to turn things around, and I think there are. Like I said earlier, I think there are big changes needed. If we make those changes, then things could turn around very, very quickly. You know, that's what we've got to cling on to, isn't it, really? The fact that, you know, we've been in this position before where you just feel relegation almost feels inevitable, doesn't it? At the minute, I wouldn't back us to finish ahead of anyone at the minute, because we're so rudderless and lacking ideas, lacking motivation, lacking cohesion, whatever. But that can change. And I think, like we've just said, it needs to come from the top. You know, whoever's the manager is kind of irrelevant almost at the minute, because it needs to be a deeper cleanse, if you like, of people running the club. But if we can get that, then who knows? We could still have a season that we can look back on and be happy with.
Fantastic. Craig, final thoughts, highlights, any positives?
Yeah. Well, yeah, Dave, because on the 12 games we played this season, we've only been outplayed 3 times. We've been the better side up to the last third in every other game. But the serious issue with our players not being able to find the onion bag. If we find the onion bag, we're sorted. But we need a cleanse straight down the middle of our club. Manny's beautifully articulated. Jack has. We need a new spine down the whole of the club, and that includes a new manager who knows his salt, and we'll be okay. But if they sit on this, we're going to play championships football next year. And I mentioned that at the start of the season, if you remember, Dave, because this is not 12 games in for me. I've seen this happening for 18 months.
Fantastic. Manny, final thoughts?
Well, we spent most of our last 35 years or so in the championship anyway, so pretty used to being in that division, you know. But, you know, yes, it is early, and the positives are, for me, you know, as a human being, we've got a roof over our head, we've got food on the table, we've got our health. And sometimes you have to focus on something else and just switch it off. So, you know, we care, but for our own well-being as well, get yourself a hobby and get out there and just switch them off, because literally, you know, we can say what we want, but we don't have that much control. We just hope powers to be, the people who own the club, the people who, you know, make the decisions, see that people are not happy, and they're not happy for a real reason, you know, and make those changes, and I hope they do. And if we do get the right men in, or the right manager in, then yeah, it's salvageable. We have got some good, you know, you look at the players, I'm pretty much sure, like Matheus Nunes walks into another team and starts looking like a bloody superstar, and we've turned him into Steve Corica. We've turned bloody Guedes into Robbie Slater. We turned Diego Costa into Robert bloody Taylor. We've turned him into Robert Taylor. You know, it's honestly, that's what we've done. These players aren't bad players. You don't get Pep Guardiola say he's the best midfielder in the world. Pep ain't stupid. And now he's probably thinking, what have Wolves done to him? You know, and it's these players, they've got the talent, but sometimes they just need nurturing. They need, you know, just showing the ropes a little bit. They need the buddy with them, you know, and pretty much I don't think they're, like you said, Jack and Craig said, rudderless, completely lacking any direction or any intention. And people are just sort of looking around for answers. You can see the players, their body language, they're sort of looking around for answers, aren't they? They don't know where to go to. There's no one really geeing them up. Everyone's heads are down, and the manager is pretty. You show respect for the manager who's got something about him, so that, you know, when Steve Davis is shouting, it's just the academy manager, you know, it's just the academy manager. Do we really listen to him? Have they got the respect?
You got to feel for him. Right. Yeah, finish on a little bit of a positive.
Oh, here we go. Go on.
Just to finish off with a bit of humour, because it has been a dark show in a lot of ways, but positive as well, because although it's negative, a lot of the comments and what we're saying in terms of things, it is still a positive because we're letting it out and we're letting our feelings out.
Yeah.
So we've still got to take the part. But let's look at the wheel before we close. And this one is... We won't do that one because that's one we've done before. So let's go on to this one. No, or that one.
Come on, Dave. You need to rewrite your will.
Okay, this could be anything. Oh, I like this one because it could be player, manager, or whatever.
I can't read.
If you could sign anyone for Wolves tonight, player, manager, or any position at the club, who would you sign?
Laurie Dalrymple.
Laurie Dalrymple from Craig.
Yeah, new chairman, new CEO, whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
New CEO,
man. You know what? 100%. You know, I just thought Haaland, but again, I think we'd turn Haaland into Robert Taylor as well.
He'd be the new Leon Clark, wouldn't he? If he came
he would. He'd be sold for 50 grand to some third division Danish side after being with us. We would totally ruin him. So definitely not Haaland. Yeah, I'll go with Dalrymple for me. You know, as like just a bit of glue, even though he was a football man.
To be honest, Wasps, unfortunately, ain't they going out of business?
Harlequins.
Was it Harlequins?
Yeah.
No, I feel sorry for Wasps as well and their fans and Worcester Warriors. With
glue, you know, we need some glue. The glue that binds people together, and we've got none. We just got an IKEA flat pack, and none of the parts fit, and we're just wondering what we're going to make, and it's all falling apart.
And do we have hope ahead of Brentford? Any score predictions?
They lost 4-0, so they're probably going to give us a hiding.
It'll probably be Wolves 0, whatever it is. Yeah.
Do you think we're going to get stung?
You know what? We beat them last year. I mean, you know, football is a funny thing, and then, you know, nobody would have thought Forest were the worst side I've seen at Molineux for decades, go and turn over Liverpool. What the hell's all that about? You know, so it is a funny, stupid league we're in, and you know, on Sunday, if he'd have scored the first one or Tielemans' shot had gone over the bar, then it might have been a different story. But everything they hit had to go in, didn't it? Just to compound our misery.
Literally 21 shots we didn't score. They had 5.
Yeah, we can't score. We can't score. So any sort of goal.
Guys, can I make one quick point?
Yeah.
Can somebody explain to me why Costa on the back post gets that ball over? We can't score as a side, and he side puts it into the player. What would you do? Man, I'd have put my 12 laces, my 18 stone thighs, and all my 30 stone belly straight through that ball, and that would have took the player into the back of the net with it. Wouldn't you have done the same?
Yeah. That is passion, isn't it? That's passion. That's desire. That's a will. That's, you know, that's makeup. And that makeup, you've got to pull those things out of your box. They've got all that. The players have got that, but they're not encouraged to use any of that. They're just basically strolling around. You know, we've won the league for fancy flicks, back heels, and bloody, you know.
Oh, don't start me on that. Oh,
Craig.
Anyways, it's 2 hours, 15 minutes. Guys, if you've enjoyed this, please smash a like. If you're brand new, hit the subscribe button. We're so close to 30,000 subscribers, which is insane. And give it, I hope if you're listening back on the podcast, I hope you enjoy it. We've had some fantastic guests tonight. We've been honest, it's been forthright, but it's been put across in the right way. There's been no swearing or anything like that because we are a family-friendly channel. And we've had nearly 400 watching the whole show all the way through, which is insane. So thank you for everyone that's got involved in the chat. If you're watching this back on catch-up, leave your thoughts in the comments. And obviously, if you're listening to it on the podcast, why not give us a 5-star rating on the podcast? From myself, Jack, Craig, and Manny, and all the guests tonight, thank you. Love to wherever you are in the world. Just remember the Wolves' motto is out of darkness cometh light. So
focus on the light. There's plenty of light out there, and focus on it, and we'll get through this.
We will get through it. We'll come out the other side, and hopefully we can stay in the vision. A long way to go yet.
I'm planning my walk to Rotherham next year.
Fosun, if you're watching,
it's not Plymouth.
You've heard the messages from the fans. You need to take some action and quick. Good night. God bless everyone. Always.
Cheers. See you guys.